There are, of course, major value considerations too, but they're not any more complex than understanding a simple sphere. I start with what I call an average light. It's just a value light enough to represent the entire light family. So I'll draw a circle with that value here. Next, let's do the same for a shadow value, a value dark enough to represent the entire shadow family. And I'll paint that in as well. Here I'm choosing what's called a halftone value, representing where the ball is turning away from the light, but not enough to be in shadow yet. Now, on a ball like this, it's pretty easy to keep your shapes simple, but I do want to draw your attention to the fact that they are simple, because this becomes harder on a tree. So just keep that in mind. Anyway, from here we can augment those shapes by adjusting their edge. In this case, I'm softening the edges to represent the roundness of the ball. Going back to values now, let's put another value in the shadow family. Much like our halftone value was darker than our average light, this value will be darker than our average shadow, and it goes in areas that are forming deeper crevices, or wherever it would be harder for bounce light to get to. In this case, the underside of the ball. And notice the soft edge between this value and the other shadow value. With just those 4 values, constructed like that, you can paint a tree. In particular, a Studio Ghibli style tree. But before we get there, I encourage you to take one more intermediary step and morph our sphere into a foliage sphere, applying the same values and structure, but just modifying the shapes. This part's tricky. You gotta keep the shapes simple enough, but give them a distinct tree-like quality. You can modify the edges too, which I'm doing right now, moving away from the consistently soft edges of a ball into something with a bit more variety. Composition-wise, I have big and medium shapes going right now. Watch how it changes as I add small shapes, many small shapes. They are what really drive that visual interest that we all want in our pictures. And you can find the small shapes in any value. Speaking of value, here I'm adding that last value, the darkest part of the shadow, and this completes our 4-value structure. Then from here, it's just going over the design, making sure every shape is to your liking, including the big, medium, small shape distribution, and you can call it done. At this stage, you should be able to look at a Studio Ghibli tree, abstractify it in your mind, and fully understand it. You should be able to look at that value and say, okay, that's the average light. Then look at that value and say, that's the halftone. Go over to this value and say, that's the average shadow. And additionally, its value family is very separate from the light. And then finally, finding the darkest shadow value here. And with this lesson, you should be able to do all that without being blinded or confused by the color.